If you would stand for our invocation and remain standing for the pledge immediately following. She is not here. Okay, if you would join us for a moment of silence and the pledge immediately following. Thank you. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Marta.
Leary.
Here.
Haney.
Here.
Harvey.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Klein. Airy.
He should be joining us.
Hughes.
Here. Present. Okay. Chris Perry's joining us virtually. Nate did say a while back he was going to be out of town, and he sent an email out just recently that reiterated that fact. Next on our agenda, we have the approval of minutes from the regular council meeting of May 23rd, 2022, and from the Public Utilities Committee meeting of May 23rd, 2022. Right? Okay, that should say 2020. I hope we're not time travelers here. We good? Greg.
The regular council meeting minutes, May 23rd, page 3, ordinances. Last paragraph, last line where the word super in front of majority. That's all I have.
Those, any others? Those those amended minutes will stand as approved. Next, we have audience participation. If you'd like to address council, please state your name, your address, and state your concern or comments, and you will have 5 minutes to do so.
Hi, Amanda Cleary, 1742 North 2nd Street, Ironton. I'm here this evening as a representative of the nonprofit organization Third and Center to invite council to attend our Summer Solstice Music and Art Festival that's taking place on the Ironton Riverfront on Saturday, June 18th. The day begins at 10:30 a.m. with a free community yoga session, followed by a talent show that will have a youth and adult portion. And then we have a person-to-person jazz ensemble, Corduroy Brown, who is a musician from Huntington, West Virginia, and the John Ingram Band, who are musicians from Charleston, West Virginia. The day is going to be filled, it's a free community event. It's going to be filled with art, music, and fun activities for our youth, as well as food trucks and artists and artisan vendors. The event will also feature a live mural installation. That's a partnership between an Ironton High School student and Bluegrass Mama Creations, an artist in Russell, Kentucky named Chelsea Potter. So we're taking a section of the flood wall that right now is covered in graffiti, and that will be transformed into a beautiful mural. So I would just like to invite everyone to join us for that event. Also, last week, Third and Center sponsored a project to purchase new trash cans for the riverfront. So we have been able to secure funding for 9 90-gallon trash cans with the closable lids, and those will feature sponsored by and the name of the business or individual that purchased those. And we hope to have those installed next week. In addition to that project, we are working to restore the murals on the riverfront, and last summer we were able to do the Welcome to Ironton. So looking at that mural, our focus is going to be traveling down the right side of the flood wall. So the next one will be the seal of the state of Ohio, and we hope to resurface that this summer. And then this fall we have secured an artist named Elias Reynolds, who's created a mock-up. Well, it's what the mural will look like. It's called Ironton, Ohio, and it's a beautiful rendition of some historical places in our city. But we're hoping to have that mural installed in September during our Ironton River Run 5K, which is our fundraiser that's on September 24th. And we're also looking at, moving further down that section of the flood wall. The Veterans Memorial mural that's on there, we would like to have that restored, and then also move the tanks mural down to next to where the Waterloo Wonders is, so it's not all the way down by itself. So this is a project that I just wanted council to be aware that Third and Center is working diligently to not only secure funding, but to secure artists who will help in this process of redoing our flood wall murals. And we're also looking at tying in, putting QR codes on the actual murals. So those will tie, so you could scan that, and that will tie back to our website that will have the history of the mural, or like, for example, the Tanks Memorial Stadium, it would pull up a map to show you how to get to Tanks Memorial Stadium. When we do one with the churches in town, we'd love to have that tie into the church map. So it's more of an interactive guide to make the murals not just something you come to look at. It engages you back into the community and shows you why that's beneficial to our community's history, but also how you can then take part of what's going on in our city, whether it be retail businesses or history that we're so rich with. In addition to that, I would like to ask council to consider partnering with Third and Center to fund and install handicap accessible swings at the Etna Street Park. I am sure all of you are aware what happened at the Lombard School Building. That was our only handicap accessible swing structure in the city, and it's imperative that we provide recreational opportunities for all of our youth. And in addition to that, the city, Parks and Rec levy did not pass, and I am understanding that that's coming back on the ballot. Third and Center would very much be interested in helping advocate for people to vote in favor of that levy, as we do think that's a necessity. We're looking at partnering with Ohio State University and the elementary school to introduce some arts programming that would run something similar to like you sign your kid up for T-ball, but this would be an arts program that you would sign your child up for. And once that's available, we would like to present it to City Council for possible funding through the city as well. So I just wanted to come and let everyone know what we have in the works, just welcoming anyone that would like to join us as well.
Correct. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. So what we've been able to just in this meeting today was I sat down with Ohio State University's Extension Office. They received grant funding, and specifically for summer programming for Ironton. And the Ironton Elementary School Assistant Principal, Mr. Ashworth, was at the meeting with us as well. So we're going to be able to institute some programming through Ohio State University during the summer school program that Ironton is doing now, but their grant is going to continue for 2 years. So they'll have this funding through 2024. So there's a huge opportunity for us to, Ironton's historically focused on sports, and that's fantastic, but we have a whole demographic of youth that aren't being, engaged or given the same kind of opportunity. So that's where we think, as Third and Center as an organization, we can help fill that gap and facilitate some of these programmings just by bringing the right people together, but also us being involved in the community in that aspect. So, and I think that's it for today.
Great.
I like how you threw in the T-ball plug there.
We love T-ball. That was, well, no, I think it's, I think to get people to understand that, you can sign your child up for that, and that's as whatever it was, at 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and they learn so many amazing fundamental skills. But the arts programming would run similar to T-ball and be geared towards whatever direction the kids want to go.
So that tied into what I was going to say. If you all haven't been to the Ironton Little League, Third and Center painted and did some refreshing of dugouts and concession area at the Ironton Little League before our season started. So if you haven't driven by there, drive to the end of 4th Street and just take a look on your left, you'll notice that it is a little different, thanks in part to them. So, and thanks for also helping with our pickleball tournament and all the other good things that you guys have going on. I really appreciate it. And I also wanted to know if you guys have reached out to Mickey Fisher at all to be a part of Third and Center because he routinely gives back to the community in the arts, specifically at the high school with the drama club and anything that's arts related. He likes to be involved with just to give back to his community. So if you don't have his contact information, let me know and I'll get you.
Sure, thank you. I believe Mr. Fisher follows us on social media, so probably he commented on our underpass projects. I think is aware of the fact that we exist in the community. I think so, but thank you for that.
When is that festival?
June 18th, so next Saturday.
And I want to thank you for coming, and especially the scope of what you have planned is very ambitious and needed in our town. I have an arts background, and so I appreciate what you're doing, and anything I can do, be of assistance to help you, let me know.
Thank you.
If you're around a little later, I can give you my card.
Sure.
And I'd love to sit and talk with you sometime.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
I'm especially keen on the jazz element there, so thank you.
They're very well established from Greenup, Kentucky. So they're going to start about, I think, 4 o'clock that day. So you definitely don't want to miss them. It's going to be a
Sounds great.
fun group.
Mr. Perry, he's joining us virtually. I think he's got some noise in the background, but he wanted me to thank you for your fierce advocacy on behalf of the residents of Ironton. I'd like to echo his sentiment. I think everything you're working on is really awesome, and I look forward to helping out in any way that I can.
Thank you.
I thank you and Third and Center. I thought the pickleball tournament was fantastic. I mean, that was a great day for Ironton. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. I think it's going to continue to grow. So thank you and everybody at Third and Center, but particularly you and Mandy for showing out. I mean, you guys, that was fantastic. It was a really good time and a really good community event. So first of all, thank you wholeheartedly for that.
We were excited to be a part of it for sure.
Well, that was a good partnership. Also, I did see something about the trash cans that you were pushing for, and thank you for that, because we talked about that. It seems like a year ago.
2.5, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, and really we were
welcome.
Just doing the river sweep. Was a week before, 2 weeks before Memorial Day, and we were talking about how bad a shape those trash cans were down there. So thank you for doing that. I also thank the QR codes for the murals. That's a fantastic idea. A little bit of history behind it. Everything's going electronic, now. So that's a great mixture of, showing our history, but also keeping up with the present. And the only other thing I had was the dates for the summer solstice, which is the 18th, and then 5K, which is
September 24th. And that route runs, what's really cool about that route is it starts downtown. I think this year we're going to start it on the riverfront because he'll be doing the mural, but it runs through Moulton's Field, it runs around through the underpass and then over the walking path. So that the course was designed to showcase some of the areas that Third and Center is working on throughout the city. So that'll be a fun day too.
good deal. We were kind of kicking around the idea and didn't realize that was already going on for like a walking trail or the bike path 5K for that, correct?
You mentioned the underpass. Did you all redo that? Those murals and stuff down there?
Yes, that was a Third and Center project.
I wasn't aware of that. It looks great.
Thank you. But those were designed by high school students and installed by the high school art students, but it was a Third and Center.
I thought somebody was just artsy down there and just decided to paint it.
It was a Third and Center project.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to get with you on is I'm all for the handicapped accessible swing. Actually, I've been looking at it, and I know this is a bad time to think about expanding park equipment, playground equipment. But I'd like to actually get with you guys and see if we can get one in all or most of the parks around town.
Yeah, absolutely. I just suggested starting at Etna because the way that that park is laid out and the sidewalk that's there, it very easily could be a project that could be facilitated, and the cost of that, I did some research, and it's under $4,000, and we could have a double handicap swing. And I mean, I just feel like that's just such low-hanging fruit.
I agree, Craig.
And we could
Short-term,
crowdsource fund
short-term, I
that.
think that's great. Long-term, I think the last time we talked about upgrading the parks, the hardest money to get is just for parks in general, but the easiest money to get in grant funding is with handicap accessible parks. And I think one of the grants that we looked at in the past was like $90,000 that we applied for. So, I mean, we could possibly be ambitious in the future with handicap accessible parks, but,
Yeah.
but in the short term, you're right, there's immediate needs. So.
And I'll tell you, just one more quick, I mean, I was out of town this past weekend, and we were in Indiana for a concert. We stayed a whole extra day because this little town that we were in outside of Noblesville had an incredible park system. And I mean, like, every park, there were 5 parks just within the city, and the websites were all fantastic, easy for us to find. One of them had a skate park, a disc golf. All of them had open green space. One of them had a lending library, nature trails. I mean, my kid was like in kid heaven. There were people everywhere, just outside, dogs. I mean, it was just incredible. And I took tons of like pictures and notes, but we have a huge opportunity. And if you don't think that investing in your parks is what draws people, especially, I mean, all these people, it was a random Monday at like noon, and I was like looking around, all these kids, I mean, you could tell like socioeconomics, this was a community that had a lot of money. It was an offspring of Indianapolis, but these were moms, middle of the day, out with their kids on a Monday. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, these were, and people move to communities like that. You know what I mean? If you have these things to offer, and I feel like if we can make that a focus as a community, then we will not go wrong. So, yeah, thank you.
I don't know what we may have a Parks and Rec committee meeting, or I may just get what John passed along, but we'll see where we're at with rec levy not passing, and then what we're able to kind of do, and then we'll definitely get back with you.
Well, and
see.
I think if you want a gold star to say this is what your rec
Right.
money funds, then and again, we're happy to help crowdsource fund that as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so happy to help in any way that we can. So
All right.
thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else, audience participation?
I have a couple of things. First of all, congratulations to all those involved, the mayor and everyone on the great Memorial Weekend that we had. I think it was a super representation of our town and just a fantastic time had by all. Following that, and along with the, I guess this is trash can night, there was a county resident that contacted me, Miss Diane Humphreys, and her and her family, being good citizens, tried to pick up trash and stuff after the parade and in our community, and she messaged me and indicated there's no trash cans around town to put stuff in, and she wanted me to bring that up to council that and to the mayor, that maybe next year, if there can be some temporary type trash cans that could be placed so people can put their refuse in there. And I thought that was a good idea, so I said I would mention it tonight. Next thing I have is dealing with a few things on the north end. And I know there have been a lot of things going on, and there has to be interdepartmental cooperation, but 2 years ago, some folks contacted me about some work on the alley on the north end, 20, 21, and 2200 block, basically in front of the State Tan Pool and in front of the trailer park. Nothing's been done in 2 years to those alleys. The ditch that goes alongside that alley is super overgrown. One gentleman told me he's killed 3 snakes this year. They're living down in that ditch. And as an attachment to that, the flood wall is not being mowed at the same time the others flood walls seem to be mowed. The grass on that flood wall is about 2 feet high right now. And so I was hoping the mayor could address that and maybe have some things done along those lines in the next few weeks.
When did they reach out to you about that? Because the flood wall, I just got a compliment on the flood wall. It's been cut more than usual this year.
Well, that
On
particular
Ellison?
flood wall right now is cut about a third of the way up. I drove by it today, and then the top part is very overgrown. And like I said, the alley and that ditch I brought to attention 2 years ago. So.
You good, Mike?
I'm good, thank you.
Mayor?
That's all I have.
All right, I got quite a few good things to report about. I talked to you guys about the Prepared Communities Grant that we received from Ohio Southeast Economic Development. They're the arm of Jobs Ohio for Appalachian region. Bricker and Eckler, through that program, has prepared our short-term economic development plan with a checklist of recommendations of things that we could be doing for the city. Good news is a lot of these things are things that we've already worked on, like our community land corporation thing that we implemented, and some of the CRAs that we've had around the city. But there's a lot to it, a lot of good information in there. They're coming down towards the end of the month to discuss this further, because I don't know if you guys were aware about the $500 million that was just put into the Appalachian region from the state. They want us to be, big players in getting some of that money and being strategic about how we market our projects that we have, because we have very many projects going on. So they'll be down here in a few weeks, and I'd like to follow up with you guys after that to, work on getting some of those action items rolling. We got some paving funded by Kiowa. The engineering cost for this year for the on-service roads, it's quite a few of them on 5th Street and Maple Avenue there between the Shake Shop and the high school. That they're going to pay for the engineering costs this year, and they have said they could do 80% of the construction cost on that next year, which is around $338,000. But there is a possibility at 100%, and there is a possibility it could happen this year based on the timing of the infrastructure dollars coming in and the engineering design on that. With that said, we have about $1.4 million left in our paving project that has to be funded. And I believe with all the other projects, even the ones that John provided on that sheet to you, we have about $1 million left of the bond money. So that's leaving us with roughly about $400-some thousand balance to cover all of the really in disrepair streets that need it. That could end up changing. I believe there's $700,000 cost on that 3rd Street water line portion. And right now we're waiting to hear back from EDA if they're going to fund that whole project or not. So it's good news. At least we know we're in the ballpark of being able to complete the whole project. I've also hired a consultant for our riverfront project to get the design and stuff going on that. I think that's it.
Mayor, would you like to elaborate on the High River Way?
Yeah, we spoke about it last time. So Mr. Haney and I went down to watch them take off down in Portsmouth. They started their 9-day kayak project. They've provided us some streets or some signs to put up on our streets. Yeah, great program. to promote the Ohio River Way, which is a travel and tourism organization that has access to a lot of river tourism money. It expands from West Point, Kentucky to Ironton now. Will now be the first destination, as Portsmouth was prior to that.
We're the furthest destination upriver, so it spans
First down.
for, what, 500 and some miles or something like that?
380,
380,
maybe.
okay. But it goes all the way down in Kentucky, Indiana, and Pennsylvania, or Kentucky, and Indiana and Ohio are the three states that have stops along it. It is really nice.
Yeah, some of the things they were doing was like the kayak trip, they're stopping in all of the destination towns on the way. They're going out to the community and, dining, checking out parks. Some of them they're staying in some of those communities, whether it's camping or in their hotels or stays that they have. So it promotes a lot of the river travel tourism. So it's a good stop to be on.
Great resource for ODNR grant funding too.
Good.
Anybody?
I got some bad news. I need a executive session for pending litigation with counsel, solicitor, Joe Ross, and I guess John can come with us too.
What was the purpose?
Pending litigation.
Pending litigation.
Be quick.
Solicitor, Joe Ross, John, Elam, and counsel.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Mayor, solicitor, Joe Ross, John, Elam, counsel.
Yep.
Gotcha. Any action followed?
No.
No action followed. All right. Good?
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. Chris, do you,
Yes, thanks, Chairman Haynes. I had 3 citizens contact me over the past couple of weeks about 2 separate issues, 2 on one issue and 1 on the other. And the first is the property at Cape and Quincy. It used to be the old American Legion. It was the resident that contacted me was Jay Norton, I guess probably while he was out golf karting on Memorial Weekend. Mentioned that the grass and weeds were higher than his chest, and just wanted to know if and when the city could get around to trying to take care of.
Yeah, we had it
Trying to
mowed.
take care of that. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's been mowed.
I'm so sorry.
It's done.
they've taken care of it in the past couple days.
Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, perfect. All right. I just told him I would mention it, so thank you. I'll make sure to pass that along to him. The other 2 residents are Sean Davis and Jamie Thomas. Sean actually works in the treatment community, substance abuse and treatment community, and both had some concerns about what they feel is maybe some of the people that are buying properties and they're leasing the place out to these businesses that have sober living homes or some sort of treatment facility, and attempting to create an end run on the legislation that we passed this past winter. And so each had concerns about that, and I told them that I would bring that to the council floor as well. So, thank you.
Does he have any addresses for that, Chris?
Yeah, if I can add this on as an addendum to this council meeting, I'll get with Marta on that, or I can bring it up at the next meeting as well. Sean had mentioned to me he didn't really want to get into the address situation quite yet, but JD's is on his block, so I can get that address, and I'll try to secure both addresses and have that information to present either as a during a subsequent meeting, or if it needs to be added on as an addendum to this council meeting.
Which the thing about it is, I've talked to Sean Davis about this issue, and not probably this particular one, but I've talked to Sean Davis, and I told him we have to have an address if to be able to do anything regarding it. Yeah, right. So he's going to have to give us an address. I mean, we can't just guess.
Yeah, I got you. I'll pass that same sentiment along to it.
You good?
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys.
John Elam, Finance Director, City of Ironton. As I was listening to audience comments, I just wanted to remind you that if there's going to be an initiative on the ballot for the Recreation Committee or Recreation Levy, it has to be there 90 days beforehand. That's about 3 council meetings away before that has to be turned in. So please keep that, am I out of turn? Okay. So you probably, just a suggestion, you may want to call a recreation committee or something, get the legislation prepared. I think it's 2 parts. One of them, I think 2 different pieces of legislation have to be presented to the Board of Elections, but knowing how quickly time passes on the calendar, I thought I would bring that up. Thank you.
Can we do that in August? Or we have to wait till the regular? That's what I thought. Because I was told initially we were going to get it in August. Well, we could have. Well, even doing that now, we had failed. It was probably too late. Thank you. I'll try to get that off. Okay, appreciate it.
Anybody else on his participation?
Well, just a follow-up question, I'm not sure what just happened there with so is that not the rec levy, will we be able to vote on that again this year?
Yeah, November.
Okay.
We were hoping to get it on in August, but it was too late by the time we found, once it tied,
Yeah.
and it took them a while to read it, we'd hopefully, or hoping to get it in August, but there's not enough time to get it on.
Because there's like a whole thing that we're working on.
Good deal. Yes.
Okay.
We'll have some legislation to put it on the November ballot next meeting. Thank you. All right, moving on to communications. There are none. Reports, there are none. Moving on to ordinance. Marta, would you please give first reading to ordinance 2229?
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Shelley Company for the First and Pine Street roadway improvements project and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Bob?
I'd like to start by saying that the ordinance 2229 got favorable recommendation by the Finance Committee. I would like to suspend the rules and give ordinance 2229 second, third reading by title only.
Jacob?
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Bob, a second by Jacob to suspend the rules. Roll call, please, Marta.
Cleary.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Harry.
Chris. Harry.
Can you hear me? It's I for Perry.
We can hear you. Voting to suspend the rules on ordinance 2229. He said aye? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Motion is approved to suspend the rules. Marta, would you please give ordinance 2229 second and third reading by title only?
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Shelley Company for the First and Pine Street roadway improvements project and declaring an emergency. Second reading. Ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Shelley Company for the First and Pine Street roadway improvements project and declaring an emergency. Third reading.
Bob?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 2229.
Mike?
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Bob and a second by, nope.
Go ahead. I just want discussion.
Motion by Bob, second by Mike, to adopt 2229. Discussion.
I just didn't want you to get on the roll.
Okay.
Start roll call. Sorry, I missed the finance meeting. Was that, the $241,000, is that what the final cost was?
Yeah, I believe it was 14,000 that's coming, is that correct? It was initially 270, it's up to 284, is that right?
I think there's an ARC grant that pays $204,000.
204, okay. Is that correct?
It's 204 on the ARC grants, 280,000.
280, and we had, the first estimate was at 270, correct?
Yes.
City's portion is $87,532.
Thank you. That's all.
Roll call, please, Mark.
Cleary.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Harry.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Ordinance 2229 is adopted. Marta, would you please give amended ordinance 2228 second reading?
Establishing consumer price index increase on an annual basis for all city usage rates, fees, and permit charges. Second reading.
Moving on to resolutions, there are none. Miscellaneous. John?
Once again, you had this evening passed out cost estimates for the Wallahan improvements. Have not been gone over with diligently with the mayor, but that's kind of a ballpark area. And also, once again, the proposed budget amendment, which will be presented with legislation at our next council meeting at finance, then in council. If you have any questions within the next couple of weeks, please give me a call.
Everybody good on that? Bob?
I just wanted to mention under miscellaneous, I'm glad to see we have a sergeant at arms back here. I think the last thing we didn't have one. And with everything that's going on in this world, I think it's very important that we have sergeant at arms here. Besides that, it's in the charter, and you have to have one before we can have a meeting. And I can remember one time that we did not have a sergeant at arms several years ago. We canceled the whole meeting.
Yeah.
Just because we were out of compliance according to the charter. But thanks for coming.
He was here at the last meeting.
Was here at the last one.
You weren't here at the last one, that was the meeting before.
Okay.
John?
Final thing, there will be a city impound auction this Saturday. I don't think it's going to be as chilly as it was the last meeting, the impound auction.
All right, I got it. Okay, I do want to mention that we received word that the rec levy did not pass recently. It was on the May the 3rd, was that the day of that election? So I want to. So, like I said, we've talked about it already tonight. We'd like to put that back on the ballot for the November election. But we'd also like to share, you'll see a lot more things that that the rec levy does for Ironton. So we're gonna try to promote that and, you know, show the citizens of Ironton actually what that rec levy goes toward. And what we're able to do with that rec levy. We'd like to educate the residents a little bit better than we did this past time, on what that funding goes towards. I'd also like to mention, feedback here. Trying to mute. I'd also like to mention how well the pickleball tournament went. Everybody had nothing but positive comments. Like I said earlier, the girls at Third and Center were fantastic. Everybody had a great time. The food was great. Competition was great. The weather was fantastic. Door prizes were great. That was a great event put on in partnership with Third and Center through Ironton Recreation Department. And I want to give a shout out to Brett Thomas and his guys in the rec department for basically doing all they did to put that on. That's all I got. Craig? Mike? You got something?
Chris, do you know how many people were involved, actual players in that pickleball?
There were 14 teams. Now, we've gotten a lot of feedback since then. There were 28 total players. There were a lot of people that just stopped by. There were probably just as many spectators as there were players. So there were 28 players, but there were spectators in and out all day. People came just to eat at food trucks. People came to pick up the lemonade that was there. But there were 28 now. The way we may have worded it maybe it could have possibly hindered the amount of registrants we had. So the feedback that we got while we were at the tournament was that they would like to see a men's and women's division, so separate them, and then possibly separate them from amateur and, well, there was a term that they used, the pickleballers used, but yeah, basically you've got, you know, your experts and your amateurs or novice or whatever you want to call it. So we're looking at that. We'd like to put one on for Labor Day weekend, and we're in the initial planning stages for that.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's a good tournament. Thank you. Craig?
Move to enter executive session regarding pending litigation, actually two different ones. Solicitor Mayor Joe Ross in the first one, Finance Director, no action followed.
Got a motion?
Seconded.
Motion by Craig and second by Mike to go into executive session regarding pending litigation with no action to follow. Roll call, please, Mark.
Cleary. Hany.
Aye.
Harvey. Hawk.
Aye.
Harry.
I gotta unmute him.
Technology is great until that work.
Now that I've muted him, I can't unmute.
Is this more difficult on the other end, you might think?
We would, Mike, you want to go ahead and vote on it? We'll just go ahead. If you vote, okay. All right, guys, we are now going to enter executive session regarding pending litigation. I want to thank everybody for coming this evening.